Hey everybody, hope you guys are all doing safe. So this is the Realme 8 Pro. Realme just launched this yesterday in Europe and in India. So the price in Europe is 279 euros, which comes out to about 320 US dollars. That's already a pretty good price for a phone with an all-screen design and a 108 megapixel camera. But in India it's even cheaper. I believe in India it starts at 18,000 rupees, which converts to about 245 US dollars. So this phone you can basically get if you're in India or probably in China too for around 250 US dollars. So like I said, you have a pretty vibrant 6.4 inch panel. This is a Samsung Super AMOLED display. So as you can see, it looks very vibrant, man. Viewing angles look great. And then over here you have a 108 megapixel main camera. Now you might be thinking, whoa, this looks like a pretty cool camera system. It's a quad camera system, but yeah, it's a quad camera system in that at least two of the lenses are really not that useful. But the good news is that 108 megapixel camera is pretty good, and this display looks great, but one bummer, it is only a 60 Hertz refresh rate. To be honest, if you're jumping over from an iPhone or a previous 60 Hertz display phone, you're not going to notice anything. But for me, I've been spoiled by 120 Hertz screens, 90 Hertz screens, so 60 Hertz just looks a little bit slow, man. I can't deny that. Okay, you also have a Snapdragon 720G chipset inside and a 4,500 mAh battery that charges at 50 watt speeds, and the charging brick is included in the box. And that 4,500 mAh battery is going to give you really good battery life because the screen, like I said, only 60 Hertz and resolution is only 2400 by 1080. Okay, now the back of the phone is unfortunately plastic, and there's a giant "Dare to Leap," which is Realme's slogan. Now, some people may like this look. I'm not the biggest fan of having your slogan like printed so big on the back of the phone. But I do gotta say that when you run your finger through the back, it does feel nice because there's this subtle texture. It's like a little engraving, and as you can see, light reflects off of it. So I don't love the look, but I don't absolutely hate it too. I don't think this is that bad looking of a phone. Okay, let's take a look at this main camera. So this is a 108 megapixel sensor from Samsung. It's Samsung's GN2 sensor. And one of the highlights is it shoots in pixel bin mode, but not the traditional 4-in-1 pixel binning, but 9-in-1 pixel binning. So that means each pixel in the shot has actually 9 pixels worth of data into one. And I find that for the most part, this camera takes in a lot of light for a mid-ranger camera. I also like that there's a very natural bokeh. Whenever I point close at something, you see that there's a nice little creamy blur around the subject. It looks very natural and aesthetically pleasing. Now, like I said, this sensor pulls in a lot of light because of all that pixel binning, so you don't really need to turn on night mode when you're shooting with the main camera, even when it gets dark. However, if you use the second camera, which is the 8 megapixel ultra-wide lens, then you will need to turn on night mode if you're shooting at night. This is a relatively weak, mediocre ultra-wide angle sensor. It's fine during the day, but at night, if you just point and shoot, photos are really mushy and blurry. That's been the case with every mid-tier budget phone, so I can't really blame Realme for that. The good news is Realme software is really good. Like the night mode really makes a big difference in the ultra wide angle shot. Now, in terms of other components, you have an in-display fingerprint reader that is really fast and accurate, and you have a headphone jack here. That should be good news to a lot of people. Unfortunately, this railing is plastic, and the haptic engine inside the phone is very mushy. This is not a good phone to type on. Now, around the front, you have a 16 megapixel Sony IMX selfie camera. I think selfies look okay during the day. Right now it's already starting to get dark, so selfies are starting to look very soft, very mushy. And just like a lot of BBK phones, you have these really heavy duty beauty filters right here that you can make your nose skinnier, make your eyes wider, make your skin lighter, all of that. It's very hardcore. And while we're at it, we might as well talk about the software. So this phone runs Realme version 2.0. This is the first Realme phone to run Realme 2.0. It's basically a fork of ColorOS. It's very, very similar. And I like it. You guys know I am a big fan of ColorOS already. You have an app tray. You have a lot of these useful gestures, like for example, double tap on the screen to turn on, double tap to turn the screen back on. And then if you jump into settings, there's a lot of customization right here under personalization. You can change the icon style, how an icon looks, like the icon shape, and you can also change the color of the UI. Now, if you saw my Oppo Find X3 Pro review, you'll notice I covered this exact same thing. That's because ColorOS and Realme UI version 2 have a lot of similarities, but that's not a bad thing. I like it. This is a clean, minimal UI that's close to stock Android, but offers you a lot more useful shortcut gestures like swiping up with 3 fingers to go into split screen multitasking. I find this very useful. Okay, so you're looking at video footage shot of the Realme 8 Pro's 108 megapixel main camera. So it's relatively dark on this side. The camera's still holding up quite well. Now I switch over here, it's a little bit brighter. Then you see this is quite a vibrant shot. Although stabilization, it's not the best. It's totally just EIS. It's solid, not like amazing stabilization. You can also zoom mid video to 2 times and 5 times. But if you want to shoot with the ultra wide angle camera, which is the footage you're watching right now, you see footage looks quite bad. Like I said, this 8 megapixel ultra wide angle sensor, it's pretty mediocre. At least for still photos, Realme can fix that with night mode, but there's nothing that can be done with video. So this is just ultra wide angle video at night. Now during the day, the video looks a lot better, but I just want to show you guys how things look in challenging conditions. Okay, so this is selfie video footage with the Realme 8 Pro. I am waiting in line for the minibus now. It's a really long line. So overall, no matter what critiques I have the Realme 8 Pro, I ultimately have to go back to the price, because this is a phone that you can buy if you're in Asia for under 250 US dollars, and if you're in Europe, you can buy for around 320 euros. You know, in Europe, there are not many phones you can buy from Apple or Samsung or even OnePlus at this 300 euro price. The only other viable option is Poco. So obviously the Realme 8 Pro's biggest competitor are Poco's series of phones, particularly the Poco F3, which just came out a day before this phone, and I believe sells at 349 euros, but there's an early bird price that knocks it down to 299 euros. Check out this plate of crispy pork I just got. But anyway, if I were to compare the Realme 8 Pro against the Poco F3, I would say that the Poco F3 has a better chipset because it has Snapdragon 870 compared to the Snapdragon 720G here. And it has a faster screen, 120 Hz compared to 60 Hz. And the 120 Hz is so much smoother than the animation here. But then the Realme 8 Pro wins in having a more brilliant display. This is a Samsung Super AMOLED panel. And also, the 108 megapixel camera here is better than the 48 megapixel sensor seen in the Poco F3. But you have to keep in mind, the Realme 8 Pro, it's like 30 to 40 euro cheaper than the Poco F3. So I totally understand if some people want to save that money to get this phone. For me personally, I prefer the Poco F3 because I like the superior haptic engine and the 120 Hz refresh rate. I honestly can't go back to 60 Hz refresh rate anymore. But you gotta keep in mind, this phone is like 30 to 40 euros cheaper than the Poco F3. So I completely understand if people want to save that money to get this phone. But no matter what, if you live in Europe and you only have a certain budget to spend on a phone, the Realme 8 Pro is a decent option along with the Poco devices. So anyway, that's about it for this video on the Poco F3. I have a lot more content coming up. A couple of Honor devices, and I might get my hands on the Xiaomi Mi Mix, who knows. So if you're interested in keeping up to date with all the latest gadgets, please subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram at Ben's Gadget Reviews. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna have dinner now.